everyone. Welcome everyone to this afternoon session of afternoon tea with Boon Keng. Right. So I hope everyone here you have prepared your tea or some coffee afternoon snacks with you all, right? Or we have this session together. Right. Unfortunately, I don't have any budget for you all to get you all some vouchers to deliver some tea or coffee to your place, right? So you have to make it yourself, right? And well, today I hope today's session will be a little bit heavier, right? The topic will be slightly more heavy and serious. So I hope you haven't prepared any too heavy food for you because you might have some indigestion after that, right? So a little bit of self-introduction about myself, my name is Boon Keng, right? And I have been speaking professionally, taking that as my so-called my career for the past 2 years. However, since since June last year, I haven't been really having any talks and speaking for many months, right? So my stamina has been a bit um, lower now, right? That's why I prefer. I decided to do, short 3 minutes, short 3 sessions instead, 30-minute session instead of uh, having 1 hour long talk, right? Because I don't know whether I can, my stamina is able to do that 1 hour, right? In case you are wondering, for those of you who are new here, you might be wondering what kind of stamina am I talking about? Why do I need to worry about whether I can speak for 1 hour or not? Well, because I have this condition called muscular dystrophy. So this MD in short, causes my muscles to get weaker over time, and I slowly lose my ability to do things. So as you can see in the past, I was able to walk and run. That was more than 10 years, more than 15, 16 years ago, right? So as my muscles get weaker, I had to use the wheelchair, and right now, even the muscles for my breathing and speaking are weaker, right? So of course, I have limited stamina to do talks for very long, right? Which is why we only have a 30-minute session today. So because of MD, there's always many changes in my life as my muscles grow weaker, as I lose the ability to do things. So to me, there's always a new normal for me to have to get used to adapt, learn to adapt to over time because of all these changes. So I hope my sharing today of how I adapt to my new normal because of muscular dystrophy, and I hope this sharing would also shed some light, help you as well when you deal with the new normal in the current crisis as well. Before I begin the main topic, right, I would like to first dedicate some time to to one of my best friend. In 2 days' time, right, it will actually be his birthday. However, he's no longer with us today anymore, right? So actually, he passed away a few years ago, right? So I would like to take this time to say how thankful I am for this one of my best friends, right? Not to be honest, I've always complained and feel unhappy about how few friends I have. I don't have many friends. I would say that my social circles is so small, right? Because of because of my condition, I'm not able to go as often. I don't participate in so many activities. That's why I don't have many friends. Right? That's what I always feel unhappy towards. However, I have to say, I'm very thankful that I'm blessed to have able to know this at least three friends here. Three friends that are my best friends. Not many people have this opportunity, this chance to know so many best friends. So I consider myself quite blessed, to have um, at least know three best friends, right? One of them is uh, Wesley. That's photo taken with him a couple of years back. When it was one of the last outings that we went to the museum right before he was unable to go out. Before his muscles too weak for him to go out, and so that was the last outing I had with him, and he was my best friend because I considered I was able to share everything under the sun with him. From the good things to bad things. A lot of bad things that happened last time, and also I felt comfortable to share with him many topics that I don't feel so able to talk to people about. And that I feel uncomfortable to talk with others about. So he's always there for me, and um, in one of my lowest point in my life, about 4 years ago, right? He was there to help me get back to where I'm at. At that lowest point, I was having a lot of doubts about the meaning in my life. And I was just wondering, what am I doing in my life? What is it about after I entered adulthood? And also that time, it was I was recovering from my first first relationship, breakup, and so I had a lot of bad things. I was very negative back then, and he was able to be so accommodating and understanding, even though I was so negative back then. So I consider him quite nurturing, even though he was a few years younger than me, but uh, he was still very understanding as well. So uh, today, as I start off this session, I would like to say thank you, to this friend, right? And uh, I'm quite sure many of us here, right? You may have uh, someone, some friends, some loved ones that you have experienced as close as I was with Wesley, and this person may be someone who have passed away, who have fallen apart from, grew apart from over the years. So all of us, I think, have experienced such losses before in our life, right? Especially now during this COVID-19 crisis that we have. Uh, all of us, none of us are spared. There are people who have lost their loved ones, people who lost their lives, and and a lot of them also lost their jobs and livelihood in the longer run. Even in a few years to come, we are not sure of what will happen. So this loss that all of us experience is quite a common experience that we have. And I hope today, my sharing would be able to touch on how I have coped with such losses in my life. It's a more of a personal sharing, but I hope it can somehow you can take away some points, it resonate with you a little bit. Of course, I'm not saying that it will apply to everything will apply to you, but uh, it may help in some sense to understand each other's experience better. So for me, as I mentioned, because of muscular dystrophy, I've experienced many losses, especially due to the loss of my muscles and the ability to do things over time. And of course, the freedom that comes with the ability to do things, um, even to like losing friends or people I know who have similar condition. I think there's so far in my life probably 10 over friends that I've known have pass away from this condition, right? So there are so many losses there, and similarly, right now in this current situation, it might feel also so grim out there. What is there to hope for? And many people may ask, how do we actually cope with such a situation, with such a crisis, like in my life here, this crisis of losing many things and many people. Well, for a start, as I recount back my past, I remember back in my teens, I was probably not too bothered with the losses. I don't think so much of the losses, the bad things that I have. I was apart from sometimes occasionally I would think about how unfair it is to have this condition, and I don't know what my future will be. But those are just occasional thinking. But most of the time, I believe because I was uh, very engaged, I was meaningfully engaged with studies and doing other recreation activities. For example, the three sports that I did, that I mentioned, in my sharing last week. So I believe, the first thing, the first point that helped me was to be meaningfully engaged, be it with your studies, work, family, or doing some volunteer work as well. So it helps to be occupied, busy with meaningful things and constructive things. So that is the first point that I have. However, you might be thinking, what if I'm not busy with all these things? I have ample time, there's to think about and worry about a lot of things. Well, that was actually me when I, just a couple of months when I first graduated from the university. I had a lot of time and now freedom to think about what should I do that time. So because of that, I was I fell to my lowest point in life. I won't share so much about that because that would be another half an hour if I were to share on this. So to cut it short, in that period, I stumbled and tumbled for 3 to 4 years, right? Before I managed to climb back up with the support of many friends, people I know, mentors, and also going out there to read resources, books about climbing up from this. I learned in that experience to embrace this concept called impermanence in life, right? Um, of course, if you look at this word impermanence, this concept, if you think about it negatively, you immediately think about how good things won't last. You just feel sad that, hey, whatever I'm enjoying right now, or whatever good things I have will just be gone too. That is, of course, the very superficial level of seeing how this concept is. However, for me, I learned how to embrace the positive aspect of this impermanence. Uh, I learned to see that, right, as much as the bad things that are happening right now, or whatever losses that I suffer or experience, all these things will go away as well. They won't stay there permanently, right? They will, um, this term called "these two shall pass" as well. So it is very important for me, uh, this phrase, that I know I need to treasure whatever I have. I shouldn't take things for granted. Like, for example, before COVID-19 happened, I could have a lot of freedom. I could freely go out whenever I want. I could freely meet people and friends out there. And most importantly, I could breathe freely without having to use a mask outside. So that kind of freedom, I should treasure. And I treasure even more because of my condition that I do not know how long am I able to experience such a freedom as well as my muscles get weaker. And this phrase also reminds me that uh, I shouldn't, I should not just simply give up hope or give up something because the good times, the good times will come now. If I just hang on long enough, if I just stay strong, and all my efforts that I put in, they will not go to waste because one day the good times will come again. So, as I put in another example, um, when even though I can't go as freely now, I still try to keep myself active, exercise my hands and my body, and take this time to just drive my wheelchair around just within my house, or going around downstairs, where it's safe, just to keep myself fit, uh, ready to go out when the time comes when this pandemic is over and I will get to exercise again and go wherever I want again. So that's this hope that I have, and I believe hope is a very important uh, mindset attitude that we have to help us stay strong, stay positive, and more importantly, also help us to focus on what we can do instead of what we cannot do. That is actually the second point. On impermanence and remembering that bad things will pass as well. So the last point I would like to talk about, last but not least, right, is how I always believe that um, many people have helped me along my way, and to be where I am today is thanks to many people out there. That's why I wanted to give talks, because I believe they have helped me a lot, and I want to contribute back as well by sharing the message with people around as well. So the last point is how people matters to me very importantly, and having joined many support groups, many different support groups, organizations around. One of which is as you can see in this picture, Friends from Muscular Dystrophy Association. Right, being able to join these support groups have helped me see that I'm not alone in this situation. Have helped me recognize that there are many people out there with similar conditions or with similar circumstances that we can share with each other. Not just uh, stay strong emotionally, but connect with each other and be able to learn from each other the practical tips on how to maybe save money or go through any difficult times also. So I believe it's important to still stay socially connected with each other, right? Even as we practice social distancing in this period, uh, actually I prefer the phrase that they use on called physical distancing or safe distancing instead of socially distance, right? Because we still need to stay socially connected, emotionally connected. That's why I believe now we see uh, more than 10 of you here in this talk, that we are here together as a community to share with each other and to support each other during these difficult times. And all the more in times of crisis that we need to uh, learn and know that we are not alone. There are many people out there as well that they can help us we also can help them as well. So, in this short sharing, I've shared about these 3 points that have helped me cope with my losses in life because of my disability, right? So I hope it's not just limited to my disability, but it does resonate with some of you out there on how you can cope with any loss or very negative circumstances as well. So I've come to the end of my sharing today. Thank you so much for opening your eyes and your ears to me, right, to listen to this sharing here.